Seoul, Shekinah Yora had no other option but to spend the night at a South Korean Jjimjilbang, a 24-hour bathhouse, after every hotel near central Seoul sold out in late March. But sleep was secondary for the 32-year-old Filipino who had made her way to Seoul's Gwanghwamun Square at 7 a.m. to secure a spot in a crowd that city officials estimated would grow to hundreds of thousands. Tel Aviv, a US military-run body near Gaza that critics say failed in its mission to monitor the Israel-Hamas ceasefire and boost aid flows to besieged Palestinians, is set to be shut by the Trump administration. Sources familiar with the matter told Reuters the closing of the Civil Military Coordination Center, CMCC, in Israel would mark the latest blow to President Trump's Gaza peace plan, already undermined by repeated Israeli attacks since the October truce. Washington. The United States Air Force has awarded a $488 million contract to Northrop Grumman Systems Corp. for long-term engineering and technical support of F-16 Fighting Falcon radar systems, with Pakistan among the countries covered by the deal. According to an official award notice released this week, the firm fixed-price, indefinite quantity contract will support the APG-66 and APG-68 radar systems used on F-16 fighter aircraft. Work will be carried out in Linthicum Heights, Maryland, and is scheduled to continue through March 31, 2036. In the flagship Beijing store of the world's biggest drone maker, display racks designed to showcase DJI's famous flying products sit awkwardly empty. The Chinese capital is now effectively drone-free. Under sweeping new rules that took effect May 1, you cannot buy, rent or fly them without approval within the city's sprawling jurisdiction. A stunning turnaround, considering China is both the birthplace of and the dominant force in the consumer drone industry. A US court has issued an order significantly restricting access to the abortion pill mifepristone by mail. The Friday decision by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals temporarily reinstated a requirement that abortion pills be obtained in person rather than allow it by mail or at a pharmacy through telemedicine. The US Department of Defense plans to withdraw 5,000 troops from Germany amid a spat between US President Donald Trump and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz over the war with Iran. The decision comes a day after Trump criticized Merz, who suggested the US had been humiliated by Iranian negotiators.
And the United States military has said that it will pull 5,000 troops out of Germany amid ongoing tensions with the key European ally concerning the US war against Iran, according to media reports. Reuters reported that the Pentagon made the decision on Friday, several days after German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that Iran was humiliating the US during negotiations over the end of the war.
Meta has acquired humanoid robotics startup Assured Robot Intelligence, ARI, for an undisclosed sum, the social media giant said. We acquired Assured Robot Intelligence, a company at the frontier of robotic intelligence designed to enable robots to understand, predict and adapt to human behaviours in complex and dynamic environments. A Meta spokesperson told TechCrunch in an emailed statement.
And Muesli, a direct-to-consumer telemedicine platform, has secured over $360 million in non-dilutive capital from General Catalyst's Customer Value Fund, CVF. The company specializes in compounded treatments for skin, hair and menopause care. Muesli co-founder and CEO Jack Jaya told TechCrunch that when CVF investors reached out to him last year, he wasn't looking to raise capital.
Amjad Masad has been building Replit for a decade, but the last 18 months have been something else entirely. The AI coding assistant company went from $8 million in revenue in all of 2024 to tracking toward what Masad describes as $1 billion annual run rate. At TechCrunch's sold-out Strictly VC event in San Francisco on Thursday night, we covered a lot of ground in a short time, beginning with the question everyone in the industry is asking right now. In a world where rival Cursor is reportedly in talks to be acquired by SpaceX for $60 billion, Is Replit also bound to sell? We also got into Replit's net revenue retention, a measure of how much existing customers expand their spending, which Massad says is reaching as high as 300%. His willingness to take Apple to court over what he called outright lies in its App Store battle with Replit and the possibility of the company beginning to invest in its own customers.
Roughly 500 labour groups across the United States have organised a widespread economic blackout calling for no school, no work, no shopping to mark May Day, also known as International Workers' Day. The events, organised as part of an initiative called May Day Strong, were inspired by economic boycotts following ramped-up immigration enforcement operations in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the deaths of US citizens Renee Good and Alex Pretty in January.
And Iranian human rights activist and 2023 Nobel Peace Prize laureate Narges Mohammadi has been transferred from prison to a hospital due to a sharp decline in her health. Mohammadi had 2 episodes of complete loss of consciousness and a severe cardiac crisis, her foundation announced on Friday. And at least 12 people have been killed, including a child in southern Lebanon, as Israel continues its strikes despite a ceasefire. Israeli forces killed at least 8 people in Habush in the Nabatish district on Friday and wounded at least 8 others, including another child and a woman.
US President Donald Trump has said that all state permits for the 2026 recreational red snapper fishing season have been approved, a move he says will expand access for anglers across southeastern coastal states. In a post shared on Truth Social on Friday, Trump described the decision as a huge win for fishermen in states including Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina.
Tehran delivered a new proposal for peace talks with the United States via Pakistan, Iranian state media reported on Friday, with US President Donald Trump saying that he was not satisfied with what had been put forth. Though the United States and Iran have suspended hostilities since an April 8 ceasefire, the 2 countries remain at odds over a range of issues, including Iran's nuclear ambitions and control over the Strait of Hormuz. And they have yet to agree to a second meeting following a brief summit of senior officials in Islamabad last month.
A federal judge has blocked Donald Trump's administration from stripping temporary deportation protections for nearly 3,000 Yemeni nationals living in the US in the latest legal setback for the president's immigration crackdown. US District Judge Dale Ho ruled on Friday in favor of a group of Yemenis who had sued the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, over plans to end their temporary protected status, TPS.
And Barcelona could clinch a second straight La Liga title this weekend if it maintains its winning form and Real Madrid endures another stumble. The Catalan club leads Madrid by 11 points with 5 games left.
A 33-year-old Cuban man has died in immigration and customs enforcement custody, believed to be by suicide, the agency has said. A monitoring group on Friday. Denny Adan Gonzalez was the 18th person to die in U.S. immigration custody this year amid the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump's mass deportation drive. He is also the 5th death believed to be by suicide, according to the pattern increasing suicides, which warned of a pattern of increasing suicides.
And President Donald Trump has told Congress that US hostilities with Iran have terminated owing to an ongoing ceasefire, as he argued that he did not need lawmakers' authorization for the conflict. There has been no exchange of fire between the United States forces and Iran since April 7, 2026, the president wrote to congressional leaders. The hostilities that began on February 28, 2026 have terminated. And Cuban electrical and petroleum workers have marched in Havana to celebrate International Workers' Day, or May Day. as the government pledges to stand firm against growing US pressure, which is further straining the economy. 94-year-old former leader Raul Castro and President Miguel Diaz-Canel took part in the celebrations in the capital on Friday, while the administration of US President Donald Trump announced further sanctions.
Al-Qaeda-linked rebel fighters have reportedly set up checkpoints around Mali's capital, Bamako, and seized the town of Tessalit in the north. Reuters reported on Friday that Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin has called on Malians to rise up to bring down the junta and adopt Islamic law.
Coatue, one of the biggest names in venture capital and hedge funds, has a new plan to generate bigger returns on AI beyond its sizable stakes in Anthropic, OpenAI, XAI, and data center companies like Singapore's Day One and CoreWeave. It has launched a venture called Next Frontier to buy up land near large power sources with the goal of turning those parcels into data centers, the Wall Street Journal reports. Sources tell the WSJ that Next Frontier has already signed a joint venture with FluidStack, a cloud infrastructure startup that penned a $50 billion deal to build data centers for Anthropic. Coatue did not respond to a request for comment.
United States President Donald Trump has said he will increase tariffs on automobiles from the European Union to 25%. The announcement on Friday could jolt the world economy at a time when it is already fragile from the knock-ons of the US-Israel war with Iran.
Donald Trump has said that he is not satisfied with Iran's latest peace proposal to end the war, which has killed thousands and triggered a global energy crisis. Speaking to the media on Friday, the US president said he was uncertain whether a deal with Iran would be reached, warning that he would blast them away if negotiations failed. Rawalpindi, Lahore, Karachi. Pakistan is confronting a stark weather dichotomy this week as extreme heat scorches southern parts of the country, while central and northern regions brace for widespread dust storms, rain, and potential landslides triggered by an incoming weather system. The Pakistan Meteorological Department, PMD, said that a fresh westerly wave is expected to approach the northwestern parts of the country on Saturday evening and would persist in the upper regions until May 5. French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has visited a village bakery to buy several baguettes on Labour Day, reigniting a row with unions who argue that the Fest of May should remain a compulsory rest day. Let's have several, at least 4, he said, paying at the bakery in Saint-Julien-Chapteuil, central France. The politician also bought some flowers from a nearby florist.
And a new estate-backed film, Michael, tells the story of Michael Jackson's rise from Gary, Indiana to global fame, highlighting hits like Thriller and his record-breaking success. But it ends before major scandals, and it leaves out the US musician's race and politics, including his solidarity with Palestine. What story is being told and what is being erased? In this episode, and the United States has warned that any shippers paying tolls or other fees to Iran for passage through the Strait of Hormuz risk being sanctioned. The warning on Friday comes as a US naval blockade of the strait continued for its third week amid stalled US-Iran ceasefire talks. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has called the ongoing siege on the country's ports intolerable.
A new poll has found that a large majority of people in the United States believe that the decision to take military action against Iran was a mistake, as the war roils the global economy and fuels cost of living concerns in the US. A Washington Post ABC Ipsos poll released on Friday shows that 61% of respondents believe the use of military force against Iran was a mistake, with just 36% saying it was the right decision.
And loading the player, Elon Musk spent the better part of 3 days on the witness stand this week in his lawsuit against OpenAI, and it's already getting messy. Emails, texts, and his own tweets are surfacing in court, and there are plenty more witnesses to come. Musk's argument against OpenAI: By converting the company to a for-profit model, Sam Altman betrayed the non-profit for the benefit of humanity mission Musk signed up to fund. And, as Musk keeps reminding the courtroom, you can't steal a charity,